Where are we at with the Leafs, JD? We all have different vibes and different feels about this team, but 10-1-4 in the last 15. What else could you be asking for in December?
I'm
Any possible quiz questions about you don't know about their record? It might be smoke and mirrors.
That's a good question. I like that.
How would you answer that then, Jonas?
Are
You
there
jump
red
in there.
flags?
I think there is some smoke and mirrors to it. You don't? Come on, like
No, I think they've proven year over year they're a very good regular season team. I'm not surprised they continue to be one.
you just.
I'm not
Jonas,
surprised by
Jonas,
that.
I said it last week. The alternative is being Edmonton. Edmonton was all hot and heavy. They won 4 in a row or 9 in a row. Now they're dumping a couple. And if you look at them in the standings, they got a world of problems. They got a lot of problems because of that.
Yeah,
so
but
would you rather that
I
as
don't-
opposed to what the Leafs are doing?
I think what I'm saying is you can't just look at the record and be like, everything is great. Mm-hmm. There's no flaws.
I
think
there's
that's
nothing
100%.
flaws.
But I think the fan base even knows that. At least all
They
the
do.
Leaf fans I talk to is that, first of all, just enjoy this because they got half the D gone and they play the most electric, entertaining hockey in the league. It's
Yes.
it's a show every single night.
Yeah.
Whether they come
They're
back
down
from
5, and you're like,
nothing, they score in the last 10 seconds twice. They go to shootouts. They go to OT. Dubas comes back. They beat them 7-0. Honestly, I think entertainment value, I don't think there's anything better in the NHL right now. But everybody, then you'll go to the next question. Do you think they can win the Stanley Cup? And they'll go, no chance with this roster. You watch the Vegas D, you think they can compete with these guys?
Right.
I think that's all fair.
Yeah.
And I don't think it'll be the same roster by the end of the season. So they got a lot of work to do, but enjoy the ride.
I guess
for sure.
that's my stance on this, Jonas. We talked about this last week. Is this for real in the middle of December? Yes, I believe that. In the playoffs, that's a different conversation. Like you can't. I don't think it's wise. I think it would be very tiresome to just constantly be discussing everything about this team through the lens of the playoffs. Like I guess that's what I'm saying.
But
Is like
I don't know if that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like,
but if it's smoke
I don't
and
wanna rain
mirrors,
on- it's-
no, it's not
it's
raining
fine.
on any parade. No one's raining. There's no parade. There's no.
rain on the parade
Like I
all
would
the time.
suggest. Let me quickly say.
Why are you guys talking about the parade?
Yeah, everyone hates that joke here in Toronto. The Flyers, that's smoke and mirrors. That's smoke and mirrors.
Okay.
What I'm saying is the Leafs have been in the playoffs 7 years in a row. This is not like a team out of nowhere where it's like, wow, I can't believe it, smoke and mirrors. Like they do this every single year. They have 110 points every year.
There's only
and they're on
one
pace for doing it
question
again.
left.
That's all I'm saying. Is it's very predictable.
There's only one question left, and Matthew Tkachuk talked about it when I think his goal production was brought up to somebody, and he came out and said, I'm not going to sacrifice cheating all over the ice for more offensive production. That's not what we do here, and that's not our culture here. We've developed that last year, and we've got a great culture. So the question is for the Leafs, yet again, in year 7 or 8 or whatever this is, can they do something different come playoff time and completely change their outlook and approach on how you win hockey games? That's what we're going to be asking.
Yes.
That is the $1 million question, because this is a team, we know they're high octane, and in many ways I don't want that to change. I know what you're saying, Duthie, right? Like it's entertaining. I love watching. You brought it up last week, Hayes. You're like, they're not getting blown out. I'm like, sure, they're not getting blown out because they're winning games or losing games by like 6-5, 5-4, 7-6. Like it's just they're high scoring games. I just don't think that's sustainable in the playoffs, at least for me.
I don't disagree with that, Andy.
That's where I'm at. And I guess what is
But they're-
going to change?
Well,
Like,
they're not playing in the playoffs tonight. Like, and this is where what I would look at with the Leafs.
But trends.
Yes, I understand that.
Trends.
But here's a trend that I would ask. Duthie, you can jump in on this. Team toughness. They throw a ton of hits. They're physical all of a sudden.
Yeah,
They're fighting
careful
on
with
behalf
that
of each
stat.
other. Pardon me?
as Sheldon Keefe pointed out the other day, you lead the league in hits or come close because you don't have the puck.
Well,
Also, that stat, anyway.
I don't know why he'd say that to me. That
Because
was a
it's
stupid
true.
answer. Yeah,
Usually
but
the teams that have the most hits are the teams that
generally speaking, yes. But again, you're not talking about a team that's like the underlying numbers would not suggest they're chasing it more than 31 other teams in the league.
No,
like something
but
is
they're
different
not
in terms
elite.
of the ingredient. Okay, what I'm asking is physicality,
James, you come in
fighting
here.
for each other. Ever since the Marchand, Liljegren, I think what was a debacle and embarrassment in Boston, I think they've come together and collectively they've played
sure.
tougher and more like a unit. I think there's value in that.
I think there is, and again, you have to think that half the D has been missing, and that I would suspect that there are two different defensemen that aren't on this roster right now that are on the roster come playoff time. So if you take cumulatively the way they look this year, I think it's fair to say they don't look any different as far as being defensively sound, looking like a real playoff team that could go deep necessarily. But I think there's a lot of positives in the way some of the new guys have been playing lately. And if you can flash forward a few months, and if Treliving does what he wants to do and gets a couple of bigger stay-at-home defensemen, and the rest of and whether Wool comes back and is what he was before he went, or somehow Martin Jones, I don't think it's impossible to think that Martin Jones might become the guy here for a while.
Yep.
If all those things happen, then I think we might be thinking much differently about this team when it comes to the playoffs. So I just think it's for December, you enjoy the ride and what it is right now, and the fact that they're racking up wins sometimes when they shouldn't be, and then see what they look like come the middle of March as far as roster-wise and if they've tightened things up defensively and so on.
I wanted to ask, so about defense, you just said something about the stay-at-home D, because I know for the longest time, it was also a trend in the NHL, and in particular even, with the Leafs. It was all about the puck-moving D-man, and I'm not saying that you don't still try to get a skilled D-man, but given all the offensive power of the Toronto Maple Leafs, is that what's been missing? Is just guys who, it's kind of your traditional D-man, stay at home, do that
I don't know
because
how many,
you have?
Yeah, it would be nice to have those guys when you look at, but there's not that as many. I don't know if the traditional D-man.
But that's what I mean. You've kind of like the evolution is they've kind of been evolved out, but at the same time, because of what the Leafs have up front, I feel like that's what's missing for them.
The one other thing is I don't think you can overstate how great Morgan Riley has been.
Oh, for sure.
It's been outstanding.
Not just the minutes, but I think we're rolling out a stat tonight about, one of those stats that you love breaking.
Nice.
What is it? What is the term for it? It's 5-on-5 D-zone exits.
Yeah,
and he's number one in the league, ahead of like the Quinn Hughes and a bunch of the Norris candidates. And that, that stuff matters. And I don't know that he's been close to number one in that before in his career. He's always been decent at it. But man, what he has done, particularly in the last 3 weeks or whatever, when they've had everybody down, is I got team MVP candidate. Maybe Matthews because of all the goals or whatever, Nylander, but I think he's the MVP of the team so far this season.
I think you can make a very strong case that is absolutely what's happened here because of how depleted that defense corps has been and how it's somewhat of a position of weakness even when they're fully healthy. They're going to lean on their best players, and that's what Morgan Riley has done.
Why can't it be just he's playing great? Instead, it's zone exits, 5-on-5.
I was just,
It's information.
It's valuable information.
Yeah, it's a mic drop type of statistic.